and the Huron County's parcel number 33-004N-01-003-0100. The county proposes to the school district a net gain of approximately 13.0112 acres of real property for the school district through both the sale and exchange. The sale and exchange of the property shall result in a 33.0112 acre parcel for the school district, following both the sale and exchange of property between the county and the school district. The school district's new parcel shall be adjacent to the residents of Southgate Drive and Norwood Ave. Concurrently, the school district shall title to the county 10 acres from parcel number 33-00N-01-003-0112. The 10 acres shall be adjacent to what is known as the Huron County Auto Title Department and the Services of Aging Inc. building, or what is commonly known as a senior center. The terms of this offer to sell, including restrictions, shall be fully outlined in a forthcoming proposed purchase agreement with attached legal descriptions to be prepared by Huron County and provided to council of the Norwalk City School District. This offer will be non-negotiable and exclusive. I'd like to make a motion to discuss the offer to sell and exchange.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
I think it's great that we have an offer. I do think there's some things that we need to consider before voting on this. Our appraisal is for 11,000 an acre, whereas this is for 30,000. I don't know of any other appraisals that have about. So that would be some good information to have. I'm also concerned about the acreage not being up to OFCC standards.
I agree. The OFCC said in order for us to do what we needed to do and do it properly, to not have a traffic obstruction on Shady Lane or Norwood, or even up here at the stoplight, it would be best to have the acreage that we requested, we were 37 acres. So we're short, that would be 4 acres total, which would be what we need to do the traffic loop in order to do that.
Agree, there's definitely some safety concerns if we don't have enough land to get the cars off of Shady Lane, being so close to the hospital and Huron County Sheriff's Office. I don't love not having that enough land to make sure that traffic makes sense. Part of the reason we wanted it out in one building is, the traffic and the parking drop-offs and all the buildings that we have. I tend to agree with you. I'm also curious on, like you said, no appraisal came with this.
There was nothing that I'm aware of, anything with that attachment to that number, no.
So I guess I'm curious on how we got from the appraisal that we purchased to make sure we had accurate numbers. And then we had Commissioner Dunlap offer 20,000 as.
And that was a public meeting.
Yeah, 20,000 per acre for all of it. I know it wasn't second, but I'm just wondering what process we got to 30,000.
Yeah, how that
For
happened so
less.
fast, that's what I questioned too.
Yeah.
From 20,000 to 30,000 in a month.
Yeah, I guess I'm just, and less acreage, and then we would have to, I'm not sure about the parcel numbers, but I think we would have to give up the 10 that's right across from us,
Correct.
which kind of,
Directly across from the school. So if you don't know, we own currently 20 acres exactly across from this high school. It essentially extends to the parking lot where a baseball field is. That's our 20 acres. And then the 23.36 acres that is that pie toward the residential side, that is what's owned by the county commissioner. So that's what we are seeking. And clearly, so we're, based on this offer to us in those terms, we are short on acreage and 19,000 per acre over the appraised price. So for those that don't know, we did pay for Tim Winslow, who's been in this business for a long time. He did an appraisal of this property. What does he look at? He does comps like all people that look at real estate. He looked at a comp here in Norwalk, one in Tiffin, and one in Fremont. So he got to the number of 11,000. So that's what that's based on. That was what was presented to the county commissioners. And then all we've had since then is we've had 40,000 stated to someone who was on our bond campaign. So our prosecutor mentioned 40,000 firm. So we heard that number, that was never in a terms, that was never an offer. And twice, as mentioned here, in a public session, Tom Dunlap said 20,000 per acre for all 23.36. So to stomach that, that's something the board could look at, because if you're saying, that is there a number, can we come upon between 11,000 appraisal per acre and what's being said now? But, so we've had a county prosecutor saying 40,000, we've been presented with 30,000 per acre, and we've heard Tom Dunlap again in 2 public sessions say 20,000 for the entire acreage. It is very critical that we have all that acreage. At a minimum, 17 acres of the 23.36. That is critical, because what the county commissioners are wanting is us to exchange the land directly across from the high school and then move us over. 17 is at a minimum. So not only are we shorted here on land and acreage to do the project that's in the best interest of the city, of the school, of this county, we're also getting more than overinflated on that price. We did check with legal, and to mention that, when you look at best practice, you have multiple appraisals. You can do that. If people are far off on their terms, you can have multiple appraisals that are done. But I can tell you those comps don't get anywhere close to the 30,000 figure. So that's where it's difficult to stomach what's been presented to
I
us.
guess the last line of non-negotiable is my biggest concern. I mean, I don't know why we're not just sitting at a table and figuring out what's best for everybody. Like you said, we came to 11,000, but, 20,000 that Commissioner Dunlap suggested was definitely still a rather large increase, but at least it was somewhere where I feel like we could have probably found the comps to support it. I also appreciate the fact that he understood why we needed all of it. So many years ago, when we first started this project, we thought that we would be able to use part of the middle school. But OFCC said, no, with your student numbers, you are 2-school building. That's what they think we should have. They're not going to support or pay for any other school to be upgraded so we could use more of that school and use less here. So we truly need to put pre-K through 8, that's a lot of kids in one school, and also have the land to support sports and recess and parking and getting the roads off. I mean, we're not being selfish. We're following OFCC, who does this all day long, telling us what we need to make the best school possible and not waste taxpayer dollars, where in a couple years, why did we build something that didn't make sense? That's on us. So, yeah, I appreciate, like Kayla said, I appreciate that there's some conversation, that there's some kind of offer. I'm just not sure what everyone else thinks right now.
Well, I'm in agreement. I think one thing that we have to look at is we're trying to be good stewards of the taxpayers, of not just the Norwalk City School District, but of the Huron County voters totally. And what we have to remember is $53 million of taxes that have already been paid by the voters of Huron County, not just Norwalk City School District, but Huron County as a total. $53 million is being returned to this county and state, all voters throughout the state, but $53 million is coming back to Huron County to help build this school. Those are your tax dollars that you've already paid. Also, if we're gonna do it for the voters of the county, we also need to look at, we average about 225 open enrolled students, K through 8. If you're looking at 37 years over the time that it takes to pay off the bond that we have, that's 8,325 open enrolled students throughout the county. Not just Norwalk City School District, that's students throughout the county that will be attending this school. It could go up. We build a nice school, we might have more open enrollment. Those are the things that we have to look at. And we're just trying to be good stewards of our money, your money, the voters' money throughout the state and the county. And it's something that, this is a huge decision. This isn't small change. This is $100 million that we're looking at, that we need to ensure that every single penny is being spent properly.
And to Mrs. Crawford's point, When we had the agreement several years ago, so some of you are savvy, some of you, we have reporters here, I know, that you can click back what several years ago. So we had handshakes, we had agreed on basically swapping 10 and buying 12. So if you're saying, if you were content with that years ago, why is that not fine now? So I think that was the point was made, is at that point of having 32 acres in total, if you go back several years, that intent was keeping the middle school in play for students. So we have 3 buildings as part of Norwalk City School District instruction. Once it was clear, and OFCC says, based on enrollment, based on calculations, you should really be at 2 buildings. This being one, that being one. We knew the middle school is not in play. So based on that, that's why the acreage is more. So when people look back, like, why was 32 fine years ago, and now you're wanting at least 37, or hopefully the entire 23.36, that is why. Because we are talking a massive number of kids that you have to have competitive fields, recess, because you have different age groups. So this is smart for the school, this is smart for the city, this is smart for the county. This is smart for everyone, and as public elected officials, we have a board here, we have a board that represents us for the county. And when I look at Tim Winslow's last line that he says, the income approach was not developed due to the subject not being an income property producing area. So that's why those calculations are not in effect. This is government to government. We look at best use of land. It would be tough to argue what's better use of land than what we're doing here right now for a school district that will serve kids for multiple years, and we could say 100 years potentially. That's what we're talking. So like, that's the argument of best use of land. And why are we not trying to get top dollar? I'm not trying to sell it to who's going to pay me the most for private. We're not trying to make money on this. We know what the intent of this land is for. So that's why, to me, as a public official, when you say a number of a value of property, it better be based on something, not that I compare that to what someone might buy a private lot for, when we know we can go to multiple places in Norwalk, and you may spend $30,000 or $40,000 for a lot to build your future home. That is not even the comparative that we're looking at when you look at analytics and what's being looked at in his appraisal. So I would like to see multiple appraisals, and that's being looked at because I'm very familiar with farm ground. That's my background, and I can tell you there is no land getting to that point unless you're trying to make top dollar and go into a private developer or one who's going to build their future home.
I wasn't at a lot of the recent meetings that you guys went to, but I believe that in a public session, I thought Mr. Brady mentioned that even he, Commissioner Brady, would like to see a sprawling ranch and not a build up, because it's not great for students, it's not great for handicap, elevators are expensive. So even, I feel like every commissioner seems to have a grasp of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to build here. So to me, I'm just really disheartened that there's not more discussion here. I'm not understanding where they got to these terms. This was not delivered to us even directly. This was given between attorneys, who we have on staff because of the building project, who we have to have for bond and everything else. We aren't hiring attorneys just to deal with other elected officials, because I don't think we should have to do that. So, any other discussion right now? Anything that we left out?
I just would like to see the cooperation with the city and the county and the school district, because to me, we're pulling different directions. This is not a contentious matter. This should be simple. All groups at the local, from the board level to the city to the county, we should be smiling and be excited that we have a $100 million project that's going to explode this economy of people who live and work in this area that will be invested in that. Because I don't know how many people in our lifetime we can say we're connected to a $100 million project that's going to impact thousands and thousands of lives going forward. Make a better case than that for that use of land, please.
And this $100 million project was voted on the first time, voted in the first time. I don't recall how many schools got that.
Voters
It's
vote.
very difficult on the first time you get something like this. And the people know this is a great thing to happen. Fantastic building we can have across the street. All we need is cooperation. If there's no more discussion, I'd like to table this issue here and see if we can get with the county commissioners. And also I want to, because of public participation, you know, get the people involved here that have questions more. So I'd like to table it.
I will second that. If there's no other motion, any other motion? Okay, then roll call for that, please.
To table it?
Yes.
Table
Mrs.
it, please.
Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Great. Public participation. Each person who wishes to address the board will be asked to give his or her name and address. Remarks should be limited to 3 minutes in length. If after everyone who wishes to do so has had an opportunity to speak, additional comments can be made up to allotted time of 30 minutes. Anyone? All right, special presentation.
Okay, this evening, I'm very excited to make a presentation about some great news that we received a week ago. And before we do that, I want to go back to, November, middle of November, as you know, the Norwalk City School District and all of our buildings, we take pride in offering Veterans Day programs for our veterans. And if you've been to any of those, they're awesome ceremonies, programs. So at that time, we got to talking and said, we like to do those things for our veterans, for their families. So we started looking into this thing called the Purple Star. Okay, and you may have seen this before because we have some local schools and local districts that have earned the designation of Purple Star. So we began to talk. We said, you know what? We do a lot for our veterans and for their families, but we would like to do more. So we decided that we were going to pursue the Purple Star, which again is a designation that is given to a school that shows a high level of commitment to military-connected families. That is the parents, that are serving in the military, the kids, of military parents. And again, as I started to look into this, I did not realize, because I do not come from a strong military family. I mean, we've had, some relatives there. I will be a parent of a military person here in a week, but, to see all the unique needs of our kids that are coming through our schools that are connected to military families. You talk about, with people that are in active duty, the reservists, the National Guard, you think, we recognize them on Veterans Day, but all of the things that come with that, the unique challenges of having to move, moving schools. You talk about the military families that you're moving schools constantly. Those are unique challenges for those families and for the kids. So we decided, okay, all of our building administrators and our liaison, is that we would like to raise our commitment to do more for military-connected families. So thus, we pursued the Purple Star, which is an application process, because we want to do more for our military families. So last week, we were informed that all six of our district buildings received the Purple Star designation, which is 6 schools out of 115 that are new to the class of 2025. So we are very fortunate, we're very proud of that, and we look forward to raising that commitment to our military-connected families. So out of, I think in the state of Ohio, there are 367 this year that were either new or newly designated, or they received the renewal. So, I'd like to thank our building principals and our liaison. Mrs. Gerber put up over on the Clever Touch of all the schools it shows in the state of Ohio that have earned the designation of Purple Star. And as you can see, there's a very high concentration. And we are very proud, to be a part of that. Okay. Can we get right down to there?
Yeah. For everybody.
Okay.
Here we go.
So to get, to thank, those of you who are standing up here, not for just going through the process of applying, to be designated, but for what they do, not just on Veterans Day, but throughout the year. I was very surprised, I guess, when I saw the number of students in our district that belong to military-connected families. It's just like, wow. When you think from around here, we're not close to a large military base, but we do have a lot of people that are serving in the military. And we do have a very big need to be able to serve and to provide supports for our students that are coming through. Hey, Jay, could you... Okay, on our website, we have created a specific part of our website that talks about the supports that we offer, okay, or we can direct, students to, and it has our military liaisons there. But the resources underneath, it's amazing of how many resources are out there for our military-connected families. So, if someone says, I have this need, feel free to go to our website or contact, our liaisons that can lead you to those resources. Okay? Okay, one last thing. Okay, each one of our 6 buildings, or each one will have a banner that will be visible to all as a reminder of our commitment to our military-connected families. Okay, and each building will have their own designated that has the name on there for the class of 2025. Okay. One last thing. Also, the month of April, and again, last week, I was waiting, please, make the announcement before our school board meeting. So it was right down to the wire of being able to put some things together. But the month of April is also the month of the military child. Okay, so I'd like to quickly read a proclamation of letter of support for the month of the military child. Tonight, April 23rd, 2025, Norwalk City School District joins the Military Child Education Coalition in celebrating the month of the military child. Nearly 2 million children in military families face unique challenges, including frequent moves and family separations. These remarkable young people demonstrate incredible strength and courage while adapting to new schools, making new friends, and supporting their family's service to our nation. Military children are essential members of our community who deserve recognition for their strength and sacrifices. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to visitmilitarychild.org for more information on that. So we are very proud, and we will display our banners with pride and stay committed.
I really would like the opportunity of all of us to thank you for your leadership in getting this promoted. And in a few weeks, you will be a dad of a military, and be a part of the military family. So thank you. It's really nice. Thank you. Great.
Okay.
Let's take a quick picture here. Dan, you got to get in there too. You did a lot of work for this. Ken, pull your corner illustrator. There you go. Perfect. Down a little bit. Perfect. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
I do have to say that as a veteran myself, I'm very proud of our district and how every year for Veterans Day, the buildings all come through and have just such wonderful programs. I've been lucky enough to attend just about every single one of them. I've been honored at a few of them. I speak at some classes during the Veterans Day celebration. And just the support that everybody gives to veterans, to the first responders in our district is just so proud and so humbling to us that we do this. And I just think this is awesome. And I'm glad we have the building administrators here. One thing that we do in the military community is on every Friday, and this is something that you can implement in your building if you wish. Every Friday, it is red, remember everyone deployed. So you would wear a red shirt, red tie, red something on, for the students. So that's just something that we could support, because we do have a lot of students whose parents are actually deployed right now from the National Guard unit, and then there's another one up in Perkins. A lot of our students whose parents are overseas. So again, humbling, honored, and thank you for everything that you all do, and especially for Veterans Day and everything else.
We're continuing with Mr. Ball.
Yeah.
It's a long show tonight here.
Okay, several years ago, the state of Ohio introduced a strategic plan called Future Forward Ohio, and it was introduced as a response to help students recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. And a part of it, it's called the Student Wellness and Success Funds and Disadvantaged Pupil Impact Aid Plan. And it was intended, again, to provide services for our students, coming out of that tough time period, to be able to recover, to be able to get back to somewhat of some normalcy. And as a part of that, a good chunk of those funds had to be spent on student wellness. Again, and more importantly, programs that have the highest impact on kids. So as a part of our plan to meet these the high impact, is that we spent money again to reach the most number of kids, and as a part of that, we use these funds to help fund the Boys and Girls Club, okay, that we have at the middle school. Through Fisher Titus, we are providing school nursing and therapy services. The Family and Children First Council, we're providing wraparound services. And again, not only for the students of Norwalk City School District, but for the county. They do a wonderful job, and it's such a valuable service. Through the Huron County Health Department, providing screening and physical health services, and through the Norwalk City School District, helping us to keep our literacy initiative going by having literacy specialists that help collect data, provide support and guidance in that. We also have the assistance of our mental health, the counseling services, in particular with Jackie White, who is our, I have to get this right, I always, yeah, our family and children liaison, family community liaison. Okay, so again, I mean, she does a lot of what a social worker does. She's out in the community. She's a great asset to our families. So that is what, with the Student Wellness Success Plan that we report on. And unfortunately, that is starting to dwindle and supposed to be going away.
It's required to be completely expended by the end of the school year, so we will have spent that. Additional funding by June 30th.
It's like all this great news, and I mean, so many of those programs have made a huge difference, and you don't have to be up here to know that. You could be anybody in the district, any parent, any student, and feel the difference that those things have made. And personally, I have been so impressed with the literacy program and the coordinators and everything they're doing and every part of that. But I think when we talk about learning loss and COVID and things that happen, having that put in place by administration and having them address that did set us apart from other districts, and having the district recognize the things that we had to do to help burden the loss on our students was amazing. So let's hope that some other elected officials hear us and maybe give us something else to continue these programs that are making a difference in our children's lives. But anyway, thought it was great. Thanks, Dan. Any other discussion other than you just always want to? All right, treasurer reports.
Okay. All right, well, not to be really damp on that, but we'll start right off with the resolution in support of the Fair School Funding Plan and adequate and equitable public school funding in the state biennial budget. So, it's that time again, where the state is looking at their 2-year budget. Unfortunately, unfortunately, it starts out with the governor, it went to the House, now it's at the Senate. The Senate will make changes, it'll go back to the House, they'll do some things, like a conference committee, and it'll go to the governor. So we're about halfway through the process. But the governor's plan at least continued the Fair School Funding Plan. This was the formula, the methodology to fund schools based on what it takes to actually educate a student. It looked at the costs that went into educating a student, your teacher salaries, your building, your electric, everything, all of your costs, gave certain amounts for every student. It looked at how many teachers you would need per number of students, like one kindergarten for every 25 students. I mean, it looked at all of that, so it came up with this really good methodology. And then it looked at implementing the state and a local share. So your local share was on your valuation, property valuation, and your income level. So it brought both of those things into play. We were supposed to next year start year 5 of a 6-year phase-in, because when they brought this about, they said, well, there isn't enough money for it. And at the time, districts had ESSER money, so there was a thought that we didn't need to fully fund it in the beginning, so we'll phase it in over 6 years. So we were year 4, we're finishing year 4. The next state budget, the governor did propose continuing the Fair School Funding Plan, but he did not keep the inputs with inflation. So the inputs were back on fiscal 22, which next year, of course, will be fiscal 26, but he kept the updated revenue part, so the updated property valuation and the updated wealth part. So it made every district look wealthier than what they were, but it did show the increasing expenses, the inflation that we've seen since, 20. So districts, we, under the governor's, even with his not updated inputs, we were still looking to receive additional funding. Not what we should have with the inputs updated, but we're still looking at it. Unfortunately, when it went to the House, they completely got rid of it. It left it in law, but said that OWE can't fund it. And instead, they're going to do a temporary transitional bridge funding, which we have heard so many times. Every time we get a funding plan, maybe it worked, and then we hear, no, we're going to do something different, which is just residual budgeting. It's really just the state coming up with a number. This is what we think we should fund. So they're basing it on fiscal 25, which is this year, we were at 38%, which is like the lowest amount of state funding in probably 50 years, compared to what, anyhow. So that wasn't good. They took that out and they just gave us basically what we're getting this year, with a small increase for if your had enrollment growth. So under the House plan, we were looking at maybe a $100,000 increase in 26 and about $30,000 in 27, which on a $32 million budget is not much. Especially when you look at over the years since Fair School Funding Plan has started, we have been shorted almost $8 million due to the caps and the phasing, because we are a formula district. We're not a district that has so much property wealth that we're only getting to 10%. We are in the formula, not a guarantee. So we've lost millions of dollars over the years, and now we're looking at even less. Another big change that the House did is they put in what's called a cash balance carryover. So this is what they were looking at for a way to do property tax reform, even though it was never, ever mentioned before. We had hearings last year, watched them all the time, where they looked at property tax and what to do and how to make it more equitable. Not once was this ever mentioned, but what they're doing is they're saying that any school district that has more than 30% carryover cash balance compared to their operating expenditures, the county budget commission is able to take those funds and credit them back to the taxpayers on the next tax bill. So they're allowing another elected group to override the board's elected status as how to run your school district, what to do with that money. Doesn't matter at Norwalk because we're only at 18% and we've been dropping because we don't have extra money. We're one of the lowest tax districts in Huron County. We don't have a high tax rate. We don't have, even with the increase in valuations, we don't have a lot of property tax. So that's actually not a concern for us. The big problem is it's taking so much of the focus off the Fair School Funding Plan, and the fact that they're not doing that because now all these districts are looking to lose millions of dollars immediately and then have to go right on and put a levy on, because then they're not going to have the money to do it because it doesn't get put back later. but there's so many things with this property tax return that are not even thought of, it hasn't been vetted, it was just thrown in at the last minute. So that's why we have a resolution asking everyone to support the Fair School Funding Plan, continue the adequate, equitable method that we have, and then passed out everybody's state rep and senator. There's a phone number on there, so even if you don't want to write an email to them, you can just call, and all you have to say is, please implement the Fair School Funding Plan and continue that in years 5 and 6. We don't have to go into this whole big discussion, just Fair School Funding Plan, please keep it. We did meet with Representative Dieter. She was very understanding when we met with her, but I feel like she's very new, and there's just so much to learn about how schools are funded. There's so much to try to understand about cash balances, districts. Think of it kind of like your paycheck, right? The day you get paid, you're rich, you've got all this money in your account. Well, you know, by the day before payday, you're not so rich, you don't have any money. And it's really the same thing with school districts. You pass a levy, you have money. Well, then that money has got to last you till the next levy cycle, which in our case, our last new money was 2015 for operating. That was the last time we had new money. So that's had to last us over the years, which is why we've been slowly deficit spending, but we're still okay. We haven't had to pass a levy. So that's how it works. There's reasons. A lot of the districts around us have Nexus pipeline money. So they've been Nexus as soon as it went in, immediately contested their valuations. So they have only been paying a partial amount of their tax bill. They finally settled. It went to, there was court hearings. Well, districts just received 6 years worth of their Nexus money all at once. So their cash balances look a lot higher because they've got 6 years worth of taxes that should have been over the years. We also, because we are majority state funded, our money comes in a little bit every month. But if you're a district that is getting the majority of your money from property taxes, it comes in twice a year. And the second part of the year is when they're looking at the June 30th balance, when you have a lot more cash carryover than what you do before that hits. Like in January, you'll know when I was not renewing our CDs and I said we're a little short on money, cash balance fluctuates. So anyhow, it's really important that we ask the state to adequately, equitably fund public education. I understand choice. I'm not going to go down that road, but there are additional things in the budget, additional funding for private schools without any accountability, so that's always a concern. The House added more, which is called the Educational Savings Account, which gives money to groups that they're called non-chartered, non-tax schools because they have even less regulations than like a chartered private school. So there's that. Moving on. But remember, we're one of the lowest tax school districts in the county. But it shows up. We don't have the cash either, unfortunately. So, all right, next we have the minutes. We've had 2 meetings. We have our regular meeting, March 12th. We had our special meeting, April 15th, tax day. Then we have our March 2025 financial reports. So big changes on the financial reports. Our $48 million of bond money is now in the bank. So when you look at the cash reconciliation, you'll see a very large number that we're not used to. So I did add at the bottom underneath it, there's a line item that says non-CFAP balance. That's our actual number that we have available. That way we still have it for comparison over the years instead of looking at that and thinking we have $69 million in the bank. No, we have $12. So we did do 4 new CDs. They're ranging between 4.05% and 4.1%. The big thing for March is property taxes. The final settlement is in. So when we're compared to last fiscal year, we're at a positive $827,000, and we're $227,000 over the estimated amount for property taxes. So you have to remember this is only the first half of the collection, and tax years and fiscal years split differently. So this is the end of the fiscal year, but the first of the tax year. So the second half will come in August, which will be 26th. So this is kind of what was going to be our saving grace, was the increase in taxes. Unfortunately, the cash balance isn't going to hit us, but there's other proposals out there that may pass too, whether they get thrown into the budget at the last minute or they pass separately. One of them is the 20 mil floor, eliminating the 20 mil floor, which would make the rest of our millage continue to roll back. So like right now, our millage rolls back on the bond and the permanent improvement levy. So bond that we were saying would probably cost 5.4 mils. When it came in, it was only 4.35. So that millage always rolls back, but the rest of the millage, it's 20 mil for it doesn't. What some of the legislators are proposing is to eliminate the 20 mil floor. So that means there's never any additional revenue except for your inside millage, which is 10 mils. So that means there would be no increase, and what we receive would be given back at a later collection as a credit. So they wouldn't take our money out of the bank, I don't think. They would take it out of the next collection, so it would be half as much as what it should be, and then they would give it credit back. So that's a concern because it's not really there to spend until we find out what happens. On top of that, next month is the forecast month, right? So we need to be able to project where we're headed for the next 5 years. We don't know what our state funding is gonna be. We don't know what's gonna happen with property tax. We are just starting negotiations with our staff. So that's gonna be an interesting one. I did give you this book that was put out. I thought this was really good. It talks a little bit about the 5-year forecast. Different ways of guidance, what's involved in it. I just thought it was really good reading. And it talks about how it's a joint effort. It's not just my 5-year forecast. I need to know what everybody thinks. I mean, Brad and I talk about things all the time, what we're looking to do, you know, going forward programs and all of that. But it does need to be what the board thinks too, what the community wants, what do we want? And, you know, with this decrease in revenue, what do we want? We've done a lot of new things for our parents and our kids. I mean, driver's ed, that was a new program, but it's an expensive program. We were lucky to get both of our vehicles donated, but it's still an expensive program because of the staff. You know, are we gonna be able to continue that? The after-school club, we won't have the money for that anymore. Is that something we can do or not? I mean, these are all decisions that we'll have to talk about together. It's not just my forecast. So,
You're right, Grace, we all have to look at the things that we have and decide, you know, what we're gonna do. That we can't afford everything, just like anybody else, you're right, and, you know, it's tough because we did a lot of things over the last, I mean, I'm sure even before, but me being here for, this is my 4th year, we've done a lot. There's been a lot of programs the administration has started that all benefit our families, our kids, and we didn't do it because we wanted to spend money but we had COVID money we had to use, and we started all these things, and I don't want the wrong impression that we're taking it back. We're going to have to make some tough decisions. We don't have that state funding, and we don't know what state funding is going to be, and we need to pay our educators and make sure that we have our doors open because that's why we're here. But it is really unfortunate to consider losing programs or, you know, some of the discussions we're having. I mean, we haven't charged for pay to play. I really don't want to start doing that either. School fees, things like that. So, you know, I think that we need to look at all options, consider what we can do to keep some of this stuff alive, and we're gonna need to have a lot of support, community support, booster support, and parents supporting the boosters, so the boosters can support us. So, just a lot of things we're gonna have to do to support our kids, because I don't wanna see us take steps back when we've made so much progress, but at the same time, we can only spend what we have to go towards our kids, so, yeah, I agree. This can't just be doing our forecast, and we're gonna have to really make some tough decisions, so.
and it's unfortunate about the state funding. I know I heard Kim Mercenick, she's the state budget director, had done a presentation, and the state is still in a very good position. They have a huge rainy day balance, and what she said was they have the funds to do whatever initiatives the legislature wants to do. It's not a question of the money, it's a question of the priorities and making public education a priority. So that's what we're asking for, to make public education the priority, fully fund it.
And we fully fund the stadium. Cleveland Browns.
Great idea.
So if you want to feel better about ourselves, like, we're not alone in this.
Yeah.
You go to superintendent meetings,
Right.
and you talk to like, what you like, beautiful school districts like Finley and Perrysburg, that you think they're strong, they have everything. They're those metropolitan places that everyone wants to live, and they are struggling financially. All of these places, down to the smallest. So everyone's got their version of that, and we're all having to face it now. And there's a lot of unknowns that we're having to tackle right now. So, but as far as like waste and abuse of money, I would say we are running a very tight ship.
Yeah.
And we, make sure we get the very best and spend our money wisely.
And if it wasn't for this administration, and a lot of that goes to who's in this room right now, and I know Dan needs to be pointed out, but Mr. Baum and getting so many different,
Safety
grants and, to let us start these programs and let us fund these programs. I mean, we've never had anyone in a position to do that. I don't think that many people do, and that's why Dan's never let it leave. So we should just all note that, put that in the minutes.
I'm gonna say his name a little bit later here, so.
Okay, but I mean, so I would say, I mean, we're really lucky that we have the people that are in our school district dedicated to do things above and beyond just coming into work every day, where a lot of people don't have that. So I can't thank everybody enough that sits up here, and I really hope that we can continue to find ways to do all the great things that we're doing. And I don't know, yeah, like it's a sad story, but it's everybody's story, and I don't think that it's different, and I don't think there's anything we can do. And I know that it's tight for everybody and our taxpayers. I don't want anyone to think that we don't know that everyone's struggling. So I agree. I think that some people in the state budget may not be struggling, and I wish that public education would be more of a priority for a lot of people making decisions. I'm not sure why it's not, and I'm not sure what their plan is if they stop funding public education.
Great. So carrying on with the next part, which is the fiscal '24 audited financial statement. I do have a copy, and it will be posted on our website if anybody wants to check it out. But I will point out that we received, once again, the STAR certificate for the highest achievement in open and transparent government from Auditor Favor. 4 out of 4 stars. So that kind of goes to the fact that we do run a lean ship, and we are transparent and very careful. So,
Good
so
job.
that.
Good job, Joyce. Pat on the back.
There we go.
Unfortunately, we don't receive the auditor's award because we are
Cash
cash
balance.
basis, yes, which kind of irks me because that would get a picture in the paper, but it is a way to save the district money being on cash instead of GAAP statements, and that is how everything else is prepared. That is how our 5-year forecast is done, and you know it definitely saves the money for the district. So, but we did get STARS report for highest achievement. Next, we have old, outdated books for disposal from Main Street and Lee Elementary as they're making their changes. Terry Snyder's been going through and getting rid of books that haven't been used or are extremely outdated. She's offering those to students and staff first, and then we'll dispose of the rest. And finally, we have a request for proposals for athletic groundskeeping. We're looking at every year we do this, we touch up the fields and oversee them and that. So we're looking for proposals from local lawn care for athletic fields. And that is all I have for you this month.
Joyce, you did have a mention at the bond issue there, we have, that's the building of the new school. They voted on 5.4 mils, but actually it's now 4.35.
Yes.
So what kind of savings would people see, roughly, how many,
I feel like it was $38 less per 100,000.
okay, per 100,000, yeah. So we were able to do that.
I would have to, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I would have to double check the price.
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring it
Well,
up
no, it
because I
would be,
don't.
yeah, it would be because one mill collects $35 per 100,000 and it was slightly over one, so yeah, it'd be about 38. A little bit more for your homestead savings.
So they'll
Yeah.
find that on their tax, or,
It was on this last one, yes.
okay. So that's savings, yeah, good.
Right, yeah.
Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah, thanks for,
We have a motion to approve items 1 through 6 under treasurer reports.
so moved.
Second? Second. Any more discussion? Nope.
Good job, Joyce.
I know.
Pat on the back. You're awesome. You're the best.
Oh, thanks. Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Personnel.
Yeah, resignations for this month. We have Sue Ann Miller. A lot of individuals in this room know her, top quality person. We are definitely gonna miss her. She's got a utility player, you see cleaning and cooking. She does it all. She's in virtually every building, like everyone knows her. She's high quality. We look to honor her next month when we have several of our employees that will be retiring. So we look to recognize her at that point. Beth Osborne, another top quality person, library aide, just got that yesterday. So That's effective here at the end of August, so it'll be nice that we can work with and train the future librarian or the aide in that position, so obviously to make that work in each of the elementary buildings. Beth Springer is a custodian. She's been primarily at the high school. She's also been at Main Street custodian. She is actually taking a position close to where she lives. And then Dan Darovich is a van driver. So van driver position is currently posted. So if anyone out there is interested in driving a van early in the morning, we have that posted currently. So consider it. It won't be me, it'll be Dan. I'll run the PM shift, but clearly. Employment number 2, we have Kylie Vogel, who is here today. So Kylie, if you want to wave to the group here. First year contract with us, so she is a Bellevue alum, and she has been at Anthony Wayne, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Anthony Wayne for 6 years. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Like she's got all the the things that she's learned. She's got all the things like first year teaching. That's all gone now. We're hiring the very best. So I said, what do we look for in Norwalk? Like you want smart and you want high character people, and that's what we're getting with Kylie. First round interview, Dan and Jennifer King. Myself in the second round. I have friends that are admin in Bellevue that know her and the family. Said like top quality across the board, educators. So like we knew this was a slam dunk, and we were just hoping she said yes because she was offered and she stalled us like 3 days. And I started sweating a little bit, but then she said yes. So thank you for coming tonight. We look forward to working with you and having you for next year.
A Bellevue person wearing blue and gold. We love you. Oh, man, yeah.
She'll probably be taking Mr. Norris' advice and wearing red on Fridays. Well, for other reasons, we're supposed to wear a trucker on Fridays, but she'll say, no, I'll be doing with the military. So thank you for being here. So she is going to be on the power team. So her colleagues who she's working with is Allison Dowdy, Lindsay Hyman, sorry, I started saying Miranda Lambert. Carrie Lambert. Make that Carrie Lambert. That's another person. That's another person we know. So that is who she's working. So as far as like being a new staff and working with quality people, like that is the team that she has. So we are very excited on that front. And excited for Miranda Lambert too, because I'm sure she's going to do impressive things as well. The next group we have Brad Kraft here, so we have several new cook hires. Kimberly Cunningham, Kelly Jones, Kennedy O'Brien, and April Bengo as a custodian. So those are all new hires. Anything, Brad Kraft, you'd like to mention with those three? Excited, solid, they have experience?
They do. They're excited.
Yeah.
Kim is at the Main Street, and Kelly is at the middle school, and Kennedy is at the high school. So it's going to be really exciting. They're fun. They're enjoying the kids and chatting them away. So.
3, we have a change of classification. So Retiba Stillman, who's been our school psych, she is going to be replacing Jennifer, the irreplaceable, the Jennifer King as pupil service director. So I will advertise once again. So we have psychologists posted, and we are looking for that position. That is tough because there are not too many individuals available. So Kylie, I'll lean on you. If you have good people from Anthony Wayne, talk to them, bring them back this direction. But we have psychologists posted, but we are excited for Retiba. We interviewed 2 in-house and 2 from outside, and we know her and know what she brings to the table, and are excited for Retiba and that promotion into a new job. And that is an admin level position rather than on the MTA CBA. 4 is additional pay through Title IIA grant for classified preschool employees at member rate and certified preschool staff up to 10 hours for the coming year. The administrator contracts that are for the next 3 years, 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28, 3-year contracts. Dan Ballman, Ken Moore, and we have everyone here, and Tim Shield in the room. So the 3 administrators here.
Locking you down, can't leave, see that?
In 6, we have the reemployment of Valerie J. Janice Smith at Pleasant Elementary for another 1-year contract as a retired rehire. Number 7, we have 1-year contracts listed for teaching contracts for the coming year. On 7B, you'll see the list of those earning a 2-year contract. 3, we have several names on 3-year contracts, and then a healthy list as D under continuing contracts. 8, we have substitutes, both classified and certified. And again, it's nice to add to that pool because they are very much needed. Understanding that some of those individuals aren't strictly with us. So there may be multiple, they may be a Bellevue, Western, Edison, so they're going different places. So the more people you get in that pool, it's great to have that because we're definitely needing that in both the classified and certified worlds. 9 is a correction, and that is because we have we have a head coach and X number of assistant coaches. This is actually going to be a split contract. So Carson Ballman, especially pole vault, and then Jacob McPherson, who has been filling for Nancy Fell in social studies. He is a thrower. So we have a thrower and a pole vaulter, and that's a split contract for track at the high school level. 10, we have, and I'm very appreciative of volunteer coaches, put in the time, and obviously not taking any money from the district. Dale Snyder softball, Dave Renberg, boys tennis, and then Harry Love, boys tennis. Great name for a tennis coach. So that is all I have for personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. We have a motion to approve items 1 through 10 under personnel.
I'll make a motion.
Second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Witzenhauer?
Yes.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes. Superintendent's report.
We have several new adoptions of curriculums. I'm going to actually turn these over to Mr. Moore on the first one, so preschool curriculum, and then the second one to Mrs. Gerber for our math adoption. So, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, we are looking at our preschool is looking at adopting a curriculum, moving from creative curriculum into pre-K on my way is the curriculum they've selected to review. It's a research-based curriculum. It is a multi-themed curriculum as well. So our preschool have been meeting to look at that. One of the big components that they're looking at, as well as it's in our present curriculum, but it's addressed in more detail in this pre-K on the way, is the social emotional aspect of it. Too, as I was here a month ago talking to you about our changing our kindergarten screening to try to get a grip on, a grasp on seeing our kids in more detail than just for 15-minute interval part of time instead of going down 45 minutes. But it's very similar to the program we're doing now, except that it does focus on that. It's very thematically based. Some of the themes that they have are me and you, all about me and feelings, friends and families, our community, let's investigate it, 5 senses, discovering animals, healthy me, let's create our earth, and ready, set, go. So those are the main themes that they have for the preschool program.
So I want to thank Mr. Moore, Rosalie Smith, especially Jennifer King.
Yeah.
We have had meetings, Dan, Joyce, and myself, looking at the PK curriculum and what we're doing going forward with that, because we've always argued if we can get more kids, access to more kids, like that's the game changer for our district. We want kids to have that because some kids do not have that opportunity. Some are having, we have a lot of options in this neighborhood, in Norwalk and in the county, but even those, you run out of spots for kids, and they do come at a cost. So we clearly, like, if we can find a way, that is where I'd like to increase, where every kid has that opportunity, because Mr. Moore and every teacher knows they can see the difference in the kids that walk the hallways of those that had it and those that have not. So.
It is a big benefit of just being in the same building that our kindergarten transitioning is. I mean, they tell me we want to come and see these young individuals. And today I was sitting on the carpet. I think I was on a brown leaf while a couple of kids were doing some things, and Mr. Cooley was speaking with a couple of our staff, and just that relationship building is important. Just having that number in the building is very important.
All right, thank you. Second one is our K-12 math curriculum, and I will thank Mrs. Gerber, before we even begin and before she talks, because she has put an inordinate amount of work to make this happen, working obviously district-wide. We're not talking several grades. This is everybody, the departments across the district, to make this happen, to come up with a good decision. So I will thank her before she presents, but we are looking at a curriculum that is expensive, but we obviously see the value in that, and that's why we're pushing for it.
So you're welcome before I even explain anything. So, thank you very much for that. So obviously when we looked at a curriculums, our goal was to select a very sound program that was research-based, that was standards aligned, that had user-friendly materials for our staff, and also provided an engaging learning experience that built math confidence with our kids. So we created this initial list of programs primarily using something called Ed Reports Reviews, and this is like the gold standard that Ohio uses. This is an independent company, unbiased, and they do very thorough reviews of these programs, not only in math, but ELA and science, and Ohio has used these very heavily. They used the reports from this group to formulate their approved list of ELA curriculums. There's also rumors out there that they might do the same thing with math, so that was the assumption that we went on, that this would be a good move to keep everything in the green, as we called it, and only use those programs that fell into that category. So after that initial list was created, I also created rubrics for each grade level, and those rubrics had criteria that included items from our teachers that they had identified last year, and this year is being important to them. Things like having a scope and sequence that made sense, that the online platforms were easy to use, that the materials were engaging, and that they didn't have to do a lot of supplementing. They could use the majority of it basically as is, from the box. We also looked at what they have some pretty extensive rubrics of their own that they use for evaluating high quality materials, so we pulled items from that, and also had grade-specific content standards built into those rubrics as well. All of our teachers or administrators had the opportunity to review all of the print materials, the digital materials that the company sent us credentials for, use those rubrics during PD planning time over a couple months, and share that feedback that they wanted to, if they were willing to, either digitally through surveys. They could complete the rubrics and turn those in. They could obviously share that feedback directly with me. They could go through our committee members at any time that they wanted to. We put together a math committee, and that math committee was made up of not only myself, one of the building principals, but there was also a teacher or multiple teachers from every grade level, along with special education teachers to represent that area as well. So that committee primarily was responsible for reviewing all the materials just like the rest of the teachers did, but they also reviewed the feedback from the teachers, and they also helped to narrow down that initial list down to 2 companies and 2 programs, which were InteMath and Envision. And once we had those 2 companies, we invited those 2 companies in to present to us in person, and we gave each of those companies a list of questions that had primarily come from the teachers and said, these are the questions we want you to answer about your programs, and these are the areas that we want you to focus on, the things that we want to see in those presentations. So once we had met and we saw those presentations from both companies, we had a discussion afterwards. And based on all of the feedback, all of the reviews that we went through, our discussions, the presentations from both companies, looking at what the needs of our staff was, what the needs of our students are, the recommendation that you can see there is that we move forward as a district with InteMath from Houghton Mifflin Harcourt in grades K to 12. Their reps did an outstanding job of presenting to us, explaining the components of these programs, how they could benefit our kids and our staff, and they actually walked through a lesson with us where we got to be the students with the materials that they brought, and so that really gave us a good idea of what this could look like in our classroom. And that was something that was very important to our teachers, was to be able to actually see this and how it would work in our classrooms. They also demonstrated how it could include more developmentally appropriate, kid-friendly hands-on materials, especially in our lower grades. And since that's where we start teaching these kids these concepts, that was a very important factor with this, along with all the other things. With that decision, it's important to also very note a couple things. This is not going to be a magic, one-size-fits-all perfect program. That doesn't exist. If that did exist, everybody would be using the same thing, and we know that's not the case. So with that being said, it's also going to cover K to 12. It's very important to have our core materials, our strategies, the vocabulary that we use be consistent across our grade levels. That's very important. It benefits our students, and it benefits them to see the same language being used and things like that from grade level to grade level. The goal of this, though, is not to turn our teachers into these mindless little robots that are just standing up in the front of the classroom, reading from a script while our students sit there mindlessly in their rows, flipping through pages of worksheets and textbook page 1 after page 2, after page 3, things like that. That's definitely not the goal. As we mentioned before, we have excellent teachers in our district. And this curriculum is just one tool that is a big one, obviously, that we can provide to them as a district for teaching and learning so that they don't have to spend all their time and their energy trying to create all this stuff from scratch, trying to create all the assessments, the lesson plans, the differentiation, the scaffolding, the practice questions, all of this stuff that obviously takes a lot of work and effort. Nobody has time to do that, except for the people that get paid to do it by the company, of course. So they can focus on the kids instead. And that's what we're trying to do, is try to give them that good tool, that good foundation that they can use in the classrooms. We need to pair this program, though, most importantly, with ongoing training and support and very clear expectations of how it should be used in the classrooms and how this can benefit the great people that we have. And that was something that was expressed by the committee that's very important to them, that we don't just hand this to them and say, here you go, good luck, we'll talk to you at the end of the school year, I hope it works out for you. This needs to be something that they're supported with, even though it is a very good program, they need to have the good training and stuff that they need to actually use it. So, with your approval of this program tonight, our next steps are going to be that we move forward creating a solid implementation plan with our administrators, including myself obviously, and our teachers that will make this program a success. That's our goal, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about that.
I'll tell you, as a former teacher, there's a lot of work here. I want to thank you and everybody else involved in this board who feels the same way, I'm sure. Thank you for all you've done. I mean, I was involved in a reading curriculum adoption. And boy, I'll tell you what, it's not a few days, a few months. It's almost a year we had that. And I know the work that was involved with just what I went through. And just thank you for and pass that along to the rest of them that are involved with this. But I know it's hard to get the right fit. You want the right fit for our district. And it's hard. It's a lot of work, a lot of time.
I will say, Jim's office beside mine, I spent a lot of time, a lot of effort fighting for, what the district needs. And I joked last week, I said, if I ever, the next time I go to buy a vehicle or buy something in these negotiations, Jen's the person. Because you go to purchase a new car, you might walk away with them paying you to take it. But no, she did. She fought for everything that the needs of the kids and the teachers. So, yeah, it was pretty impressive.
And those companies like to negotiate, don't they? I mean, at times they do.
Sometimes.
Yes, I noticed that too. I was surprised when I was involved with it. We'll throw this in.
Okay. Yes, so thank you for that, I appreciate that. Dan is a very good sounding board, which is another reason why he's not allowed to retire, ever, because I told him multiple times, so I'm all for that. But like I said, we have very good teachers here. All the members of the committee definitely want to thank them because they showed up to the meetings, they put a lot of work in themselves. Obviously, they heard a lot of feedback from their colleagues, good and bad sometimes, so I appreciate all of their efforts and I appreciate all of your support.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Just the level of detail of what you just told us just shows how much you put into it and everybody else that went, through this. And like you said, nothing's ever perfect, but I have a feeling it's the best thing because of your team and you putting all that energy into it. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Continuing on here, the next is a kind of standard fare for this time of the year. It's the agreements we have with the different outside agencies. So 3 is the Huron County Board of DD, that is effective through next year. Agreement with the Educational Service Center of Lorain County for 25-26 school year. 5 is the agreement with our local hospital here for therapy services, that's a 2-year contract. 6, this is offered to our students, so Guaranteed Trust Life Insurance, if that's selected by our students and their families. And then 7, the last one, which is the large one, is the shared services that we have, that agreement with our North Point, which is our ESC that we use. So if you look at that many things that we service our kids, whether it be staffing or program-based, is tied primarily through North Point ESC. So that is a healthy contract for sure. So that is all I have for superintendent reports.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Is there a motion to approve items 1 through 7 under superintendent's reports? Second? Second. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Board discussion and comments. I wanted to just quickly touch on Pleasant Elementary's Glow in the Dark Literacy Night. So I know that Mrs. Drennan had a very big impact on that, and I just want to say it was so fun. The turnout was amazing. I got there a little late. I was worried, but I got there late and many people would be gone, but no. Parking lot was full plus some. They had glow-in-the-dark themed literacy stations. It was so amazing to see all the volunteers that helped with it. It was amazing to see the students that helped with it. The students, the athletes and their football stuff too. And I don't know, just helping the kids, playing the games with them. I don't know, you can't go to something like that and not feel moved at just everyone coming together and the kids having fun and what it means, and I don't know, I just wanna say, that was awesome. So, take that to the team, and but I also let Becky Drennan know, cause I know she had a lot, her family was there, her kids, I just, it was awesome.
Yes. She was a big help in the high school, like I said, the football team, the girls' basketball team was there, some of the track players were there. Our staff and her staff, both of our families were there. It's definitely gonna be an annual.
I was
the first
gonna-
time trying that,
I mean-
so we're doing it every year.
It was awesome.
I just wanna second that. I was able to take my little one, and then it was really cool because she like sat and listened to somebody, but she doesn't let me read to her. She has to hold the book herself. But she sat and listened to somebody else
Oh,
read, and
nice.
it was cool to see the community come together to read,
Yes.
use those skills, and rally behind literacy. So it was super cool. It was super fun to see, and I love being able to go. So
We're gonna have to
thank you.
expand it too, because we needed more room. Like even the bowling one with the glow ball, we're gonna have at least 2 of those, and the face painting, the lady did the face painting.
Well,
She
face
did
painting was
glow in the dark
awesome.
face painting.
Yeah.
Like she was doing 2 kids at once, it took her like 1 minute to do that. So she'll be back, she said anytime she had a really good time. And she volunteered to do that too, so that was very nice.
Thursday, Fridays on Main Street.
Yeah, I have several things.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I just started talking.
Yeah, so my first one, so everyone knows, we had 8 firms, architectural design firms, that had put in their application for our new build. So 8 firms, we got together with OFCC, there's basically a rubric where the school district gets 2 votes in that rubric, OFCC gets 2, all those numbers are compiled, and then we get to our top 3. So of the 8 firms that have put in their name for it, we are now shortlisted down to 3. So next Wednesday, the 30th, we are gonna have the pre-interview, so we basically talk about what Norwalk is about, what we're looking for. So give them the opportunity to prepare for the actual interview. So next Wednesday is the pre-interview with this shortlisted 3 firms that remain, our top 3, and all 3 that the school district wanted is actually what we landed. So you never know, because OFCC, they were 50% of that as well. So you never know how those numbers are gonna shake out, but I'm happy to report as of today, the 3 that we wanted are the 3 that are coming back. So Wednesday, we'll explain what Norwalk is about, what we'd like to see, give them the ideas. They come back May 8th for the actual interview. A week later, we are selecting the architect who will actually do the project across the street. So that's exciting. That's the first part of it. The flow after that, hopefully we can secure a land deal, and then we can move on to the construction manager at risk, which is the next large part of that. But that can only happen knowing the footprint that we need to have across the street. So that's a critical time frame that we're looking at, but we are definitely moving on because we don't want to get stalled by anything. And the exciting part, principals have heard this from me already, we are starting ed visioning in June and July. So as a board, we contemplated, we want to wait till the fall, wait till everyone's back in the groove in the school, and we're like, no, people are excited now. If you're on vacation, you have to miss a week, fine, but we're gonna get on buses, we're gonna drive to schools that are new builds and say, this is what we want. Departments across the board, principals are coming, they're selecting, and actually teachers in each building that wanna be a part of this are saying, I wanna be part of this ed visioning. That's the design part. That is the fun part, because we get to dream big of what this place can look like. How should these things be designed? You only get to do that once of like the best case, and I think we all enjoy that aspect. So once that's done, then we hand our ideas to the architect, and then we say, all right, start putting this on paper and make it happen. So that's the time frame. So for all of you to know, and that's community as well, we'll be having community meetings as to what this building looks like, because the building is not necessarily gonna mirror Norwalk High School. We might not have massive hallways because you're paying for square footage. So like, how can rooms be situated where you're not massive hallways because you're paying for that square footage? So what are new designs that you can do pod-based, stack-based, that's smart designs that these architects know how to do? So that's the time frame. So June, July, if that's of interest to you, you'll be seeing the dates and the times of when you can get involved, because I know plenty of teachers have said, I'm ready, and we have excited principals as well. So yeah, things are still moving for sure. Mrs. DuPont had mentioned this, we had started negotiations with the Norwalk Teacher Association. That has gone well, so we have about a day and a half in. We have one more day on the books, and we think we'll be pretty close. at that point. So yeah, things are working well. And then after the NTA, we'll move to the OC, and then the administrative group will be that third and final, is typically in our sequencing of how things go. All right, so the fun thing, Schoolhouse Rock Library. Is everyone aware of that's happening tomorrow and Friday, 7 o'clock, Main Street? It is awesome. If you saw the picture, we have close to 80 kids involved in that. So it's only $5, and you will have an awesome show. I saw a little preview yesterday when I was there at Main Street, and I was walking out, so I stayed for 10-15 minutes to watch. So yeah, if you have time tomorrow night, Friday, make sure you stop at Main Street Auditorium. That'll be fun for you. Today is Administrative Professionals Day. We have two. We have Sharon Linda Brenda Krause in the room. And so Secretary's Day, now we have Administrative Professionals Day. So hopefully you guys had great meals today. I know Mr. Caney wasn't here today, but hopefully you got flowers, trucker gear, or something, because we definitely appreciate what you do, because
Thank you.
yeah, we have quality, as you know, like they run Point. We have principals, but you think about who actually runs Point, it's those individuals. And we are thankful to have at every building hardworking administrative professionals. So thank you. Today's your special day. Appreciate you. That's all I have.
I have one more thing, sorry, I know everybody's ready to go. The girls 4x400 relay is heading in the morning to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to compete in the world-renowned Penn relays. So we have a team that qualified very well, and they're ranked pretty high in the nation right now. So be thinking about them. They'll be competing Saturday morning. I'll be there myself. Hopefully we'll have some good responses to come back with. But they're a little upset because they're running against the Jamaican girls team, right? A little worried, but keep in your thoughts.
Another thing I want to mention, next, our board meeting in May, Mr. Spettle will send out an invitation, happens to fall on our board meeting night for the middle school awards, but I believe they're being held here, correct? So wanted to know if the board would be okay with having a little pause so we can go over and celebrate the middle school
I
kids.
think that would be a good idea. I told you that'd be
We'll
there.
recess.
So we're recognizing, right now, we believe 2 of our staff members. So we can start that at 6:30. Time we do recognition of those 2 staff members, that'll be perfect for recess, and then the entire board can move next door and then shake hands with all the middle school students. So if that is agreeable, let's plan on that for May 14th.
Sound good for you guys? We'll be there.
Sounds good.
Any other discussion? No? Any motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
You come look at these.